Hello, I'm Nancy Mitchell with the Etiquette Advocate, and we are talking about dining etiquette. We're going to talk now about attacking some challenging foods. Often we will be served a dish that we are not comfortable with eating. We need to at least make an effort to see if we can get through that course. I like to say, take cues from other people at the table, especially your host or hostess. Wait, watch, look, see, what are other people doing? You don't have to be the first person who starts to eat that course. Find some cues from other people at the table. Let's start by talking about spaghetti, because that's something that we've all had. It's going to come up time and time again. How do we eat that without making a mess, without embarrassing ourselves? What's the right way to attack a bowl of spaghetti? 3 ways that you can eat spaghetti. You can eat spaghetti with just a fork. You can use the side of your fork, cut pieces of the spaghetti, pick it up in that fashion. You can roll spaghetti on the end of your fork, and here I caution you to start with only 2 or 3 strands, literally no more than 2 or 3 strands. That's how you'll get a bite of spaghetti that is not going to be too large to get into your mouth. The third option is to ask for a spaghetti spoon. In many cases, especially Italian restaurants, will have these handy. You might choose to roll the spaghetti, as we just talked about, in the bowl of the spoon in order to control it in a little bit easier fashion. Again, you're not going to start with more than 2, 3 strands at the most. You can move it up, pull it up a little bit to separate those strands from the rest of the spaghetti in the plate. Keep rolling until you have a nice little bite of spaghetti on the end of your fork, and then put that into your mouth. Those are the 3 options that you have for eating spaghetti. If you're nervous at all, use the side of your fork, cut small bits, get those into your mouth. I also like to say, if you're dining a very important occasion, a business function, sometime when you think that others are judging you, order foods that are easy to eat. You would probably not order any of the foods we're talking about in this segment. Spaghetti is gone. Now we're going to talk about a few other challenging foods. Let's say you are served corn on the cob. Are we allowed to pick it up? Absolutely. It's a food that's meant to be a finger food. What you may not want to do when you care about your image and you want to eat as neatly as possible, you may not want to cover that with so much melted butter that it's very drippy when you're trying to eat it. But yes, indeed, you do pick up corn on the cob, 2 hands, you eat it. You're not going to look like the old typewriter joke, but you're going to take a few bites at a time, put it down, eat some other things. Hands go immediately to the napkin that's in your lap. Wipe your fingertips after you've picked up corn on the cob or any food that you eat with your fingers. Let's talk about shellfish. It's a whole category of its own, and many, many times fingers are involved in eating shellfish. If a caterer has done something very creative with a shrimp cocktail in this fashion, if the tail is left on the shrimp, you are permitted to pick it up. Tail on, fingers are okay. You may find that it is served with a cocktail fork on the plate. It may come with a cocktail sauce. You get a spoon, you dip a little bit of the sauce into the middle, and then each of these can be dipped into the sauce in that fashion. If it's a larger shrimp, you will spear it with your fork. You can bite it 2 bites, leave it on your fork as you bite it. Take that second bite. This is if the tail is off the shrimp. Or you may choose to always hold the base of a glass like this so it doesn't tip over. Take the shrimp to the liner, which is the saucer under that cup, cut it with the side of the fork and eat it in that fashion. If that's what you've chosen to do, I would still put the cocktail sauce in the main dish and you can dip it in that fashion. If you have ordered clams, oysters, anything that comes in the half shell, the cocktail fork is going to be here on the right side of your place setting. It's the only fork that isn't placed to the left side of your place setting. Small, 3-prong, you'll know that's your cocktail fork. Again, your fingers come into play here because you're going to hold the shell that's holding the oyster or the clam, and if it's been separated by the chef in the kitchen, you just literally pick it up, put it in your mouth. If it hasn't been, you may have to spear it, twist it, release the shellfish from the shell and then put it in your mouth. Normally shellfish are eaten in one bite. And again, you may have put some cocktail sauce here. You can dip it in that fashion. If you have a taste for lemon on any of these seafood dishes that we're going to be talking about, what you'll want to do is, from the common dish, you'll pick up the lemon, spear it with your cocktail fork, squeeze it with your other hand, and that keeps the juice from squirting other people as well. So spear it, squeeze it low and over the food that you want to have the lemon served with. Here is a real challenge, a fish course. This may or may not be something that you will encounter. Traditionally, fish course came immediately after the soup course. Fish were served whole, they were steamed, head and tail on, and this is our lucky day. The chef took the head off. I've always had a rule not to eat anything that's staring back at me. So today, we have a fish without a head, but the tail is there. If you've noticed, we have a knife that is slightly different shape than our traditional dinner knife. It has a point. A fish knife is held like a pencil, unlike the other knives in the utensils that you've been given. It's held in that fashion, and it's shaped in that way so that you can use it to not only remove the skin from the fish, but you can use the point of that knife to cut down the backbone of the fish, pull the skin away, also cut the tail off, move the tail to the side, and once the skin is removed, you may choose to put the knife down and eat with the fish fork only if you're eating American fashion, or the knife stays in your right hand and the bites of fish come to your mouth using your left hand. But again, this knife is held like a pencil because you need it to separate skin from fish, you need it to slice down the backbone, you need it to remove that top fillet, and you need it to remove bones. Even if the fish were not served whole, you may find a fish knife and fork is served when you have a salmon course or any fish that may have bones. That's what the fork is for, the knife and the fork are for the fish course. Next we'll talk about toasting to end our meal.